Let's concentrate on the right and wrong.
And now, our voices today.
Why are we led by our pride?
Hello. Hello. Welcome to the program. This is Our Voices Today on 95.9 FM. WOVU, where are we again? Oh, I could never forget. WOVU 95.9 FM. Burton Belcar Community Radio, streaming live from WOVU.org and the wonderful WOVU mobile app. I hope everyone is feeling good and feeling well. Hope you had a chance to drink some clean, fresh water today. Hope you had a chance to eat some clean, fresh, and alive water. Make sure it's as alive as you can get it, because you can revitalize water. Yeah, you can Google that. I can't get into it right now. But I hope you also had the chance to eat some healthy, tasty, and nutritious high vibrational food. There we go. And I hope you got good rest the night before so that we are thinking positive and productive thoughts as we move through these moments that are the third Thursday of the month. On the Our Voices Today program, every third Thursday, our friends from the Legal Aid Society of Cleveland stop in and say hello. Give us, a little chat about our rights, our life, where our life and the law intersects. That's where you can find the Legal Aid Society of Cleveland, helping you with civil matters. I'm not even going to say all, because you got to remember these guys are attorneys. It's a case-by-case situation. I cannot say all. Yes, so I've learned that from having these chats with our friends. So we have two new friends, maybe not so new friends, as we functioned through COVID. Maybe one person was here on Zoom, and we'll find out. But here with us today from the wonderful Legal Aid Society of Cleveland, remember, if you have experienced, some issues with meeting your fundamental needs, you want to call Legal Aid Society of Cleveland. Goodness gracious, looking for the number. I'll find it. But you can find them online at lasclev.org, lasclev.org, and the intake line, 888-817-3777, 888-817-3777. All right, so today we are talking about scams, avoiding scams, being a savvy consumer. Talking with us today is Eric Zell, supervising attorney in Legal Aid's Economic Justice Group. Hello, Eric. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, absolutely. Welcome to the party, as I like to say. And also with us is Kristen Naraki, a paralegal in Legal Aid's Economic Justice Group. Welcome, Kristen.
Thank you. Good morning.
Yeah, so Laura mentioned that one of you might have been here before.
I was here before, yes.
Okay, you were here before.
Via Zoom.
Eric Zell, via Zoom. Zell on Zoom. Yes.
You got
it. Okay, well, welcome back. Okay, so tell us a little bit about yourselves, and like your pathway to legal aid and what you do as part of the Economic Justice Group. Okay, Kristen.
So I've been with Legal Aid for 15 years. I started my career as paralegal in private practice. Wasn't my thing, so public interest was more where I wanted to be. I support the attorneys in our Economic Justice Group, handling the consumer side of the group, foreclosures, car repossessions, debt collection, utility cases, things like that.
All right. Financial justice.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. 15 years with legal aid. You started out in private practice. What's the difference between private practice and public practice?
For private practice, I would say the clients have to pay the lawyers for their services, whereas at legal aid, we do not charge for our services. So I think that's the primary difference.
Okay. Yeah. Primary difference. Okay. So, Kristen, what's a paralegal?
A real jack of all trades. She does it all.
She's like, what's not a paralegal?
Right.
What do I not do?
We support the attorneys.
Mm-hmm.
Some would say, well, I'm not going to say that. We support the attorneys, basically, with handling their caseloads.
Yeah. Okay. Work-related support. So, okay. Thank you so much. And welcome, Kristen Naraki, paralegal at Legal Aid here in Cleveland. Eric Zell, tell us about yourself.
Sure. Well, I have been at Legal Aid for coming up on 7 years. Prior to that, I was also in private practice, but wasn't feeling fulfilled in my career, so made the move over to Legal Aid, and have enjoyed the opportunity to really help people who are in difficult situations and help them try to escape those problems.
Yeah.
So Kristen mentioned the areas we practice in. I would say the only other area that I also dabble in is bankruptcy law.
Okay.
But basically, we're in the economic justice group, and we're dealing with people's financial lives and trying to improve their financial situations.
Yeah. Does that include helping people who have gotten into hot water with a scam?
Yes, absolutely.
All right. Well, let's talk about it. What are some of the more prevalent scams that people encounter or that you help out with in the legal aid?
So we see a lot of the Social Security scams where people are calling from the Social Security Administration or claim to be calling from, or calling from the IRS. It's important to know the IRS and the Social Security Administration are never going to call you. It's hard enough to try and reach them if you're trying to contact them. They're certainly not going to take time to call you. Anything else that?
We also see situations where people have been reached out to by, or purportedly by banks or other financial institutions, either by phone or by email or by text. And again, those places will typically not reach out to you. It's often not a good idea to respond to those things on online or on the phone by giving out personal information. It presents all sorts of difficulties, and oftentimes, almost all the time, those situations are scams.
Yeah. What are some tips that you guys can give us on how we can spot a scam before we get caught up in it? How to avoid preventative measures?
Well, I think again, the idea that a bank or the IRS or Social Security or some other financial institutions reaching out to you directly is very unlikely to happen. But if it does happen, the tip I would have is to not respond directly on that communication. I would reach out to the bank or Social Security or IRS on a number or an email address that you know is valid. In that way, that you can avoid communicating on the method that the person has reached out to you. So
right.
As long as you know that the number is a valid number and you're calling your bank, that I would say, hey, I just got a text from you guys, and is this a real thing or is this something that I should avoid responding to?
Right, because it could be a phone call, it could be an email, a text, even something you get in the mail, maybe.
Exactly. Yeah. No, they've gotten increasingly clever and increasingly aggressive with how scammers work these days.
What about, we come across things everywhere in the mail, in our email, online, about things that are free or low cost. Why should we be, looking closer at those things?
If it seems too good to be true, it likely is.
Okay.
That's a good rule of thumb.
Yes.
Kristen is straight to the point. All right. She's like, if it's too good to be true, it probably is. What are some examples, of those types of things?
I think we've all seen the ads, no money down, come on in, you'll walk away with a car or a
So that's considered a scam?
Not all the time, right? So sometimes you can come in and put no money down and walk away with a car, for example, but there's often fine print behind that, and there's often increasing fees that come along maybe in a month or 2 or 3 or in a year. There's balloon payments at the end where you might make small monthly payments every month, but then a year from now the requirement balloons into a giant unmanageable sum. So scams and good deals are sort of, the lines are blurred between those sometimes. So you just have to be careful about what you're agreeing to and what you're signing for, and making sure you understand exactly what it is that you're signing up for.
Right. So we should be reading all of that fine print, when we get an opt in for, or, I think of buying a phone online, or signing up for an internet service, or even opening a bank account, reading that fine print. Okay, you guys are nodding at me. That's good. I'm on the right track. Well, let's go ahead and take our first break. This is Life and the Law, conversations about your rights. This edition of Our Voices Today brought to you by Legal Aid. Eric Zell, attorney in the Legal Aid's Economic Justice Group, is here with us, and Kristen Naraki. Kristen, straight to the point, Naraki, a paralegal supporting the attorneys at Legal Aid Society of Cleveland's Economic Justice Group. So hold on. We'll be right back with more after these messages. This is Our Voices Today on 95.9 FM. I'm TC Lewis. If you have any questions or comments, send a text to the WOVU Talkback line, 216-200-7848, or call us live at 216-271-0959, 216-271-0959. This is Our Voices Today, 95.9 FM. We'll be right back, Aruni.
Excuse me, but I get so mad. Where could we have been? What could we have had? Yeah, it's time to lose those shackles and break those chains. Now who is gonna stop you from being?
Do you rent your home? Do you have questions about your rights and responsibilities as a tenant? Call Legal Aid's Tenant Information Line at 216-861-5955, and a Legal Aid housing specialist will return your call within 2 business days between 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. Monday through Friday. That's 216-861-5955.
This message is brought to you by the Legal Aid Society and WOVU 95.9 FM. Our Voices United, a Burton Belcar community radio station.
Listen, you already know what it is, and we back at it. Summer in University Circle is back with WOW! Wade Over Wednesdays, brought to you by University Circle Incorporated and proudly sponsored by PNC. Each Wade Over Wednesday concert features live music, cultural celebrations, food, beer, and wine garden, and family-friendly activities on the Wade Over lawn. Bring a chair or blanket, friends, family. Stop by Wednesday evening through August 16th from 5:30 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. This summer's lineup features new artists and the crowd favorites playing rock, reggae, jazz, country, cover tunes, and more. Plan your trip to Wade Over Wednesday right now. For more information, go to the website universitycircle.org. That's universitycircle.org. Search Wade Over Wednesdays and we'll see you in the circle. This message was brought to you by University Circle and WOVU 95.9 FM at Burton Belcar Community Radio.
In the car, on your phone, when you leave home, you're never alone. Download the 95.9 FM WOVU mobile app for your Apple or Android mobile device.
It's time to make the short story longer. Yeah.
Welcome back to the program. This is Our Voices Today. on 95.9 FM. I'm TC Lewis, and you are your wonderful self. Thank you so much for being here for this edition of Life and the Law, conversations about your rights, where we just chat a little bit about important things that you need to know about with our friends from the Legal Aid Society of Cleveland. Today we're talking about how to be a savvy consumer, how to spot scams, how to read through a contract, and how to ask smart questions so you don't become a victim of fraud. So, practical information to help you live a good and financially safe life. I just added that in there. Shout out to Laura Klinger. Laura Klinger, wonderful development and communications senior manager. She knows what she's doing at the Legal Aid Society of Cleveland. And Rui. Do y'all know Rui?
Yes,
in the communications department. Oh yeah, okay, of course, yes. Everyone knows Rui. Shout out to Rui, and I will answer your email soon. But yes, Laura Klinger helps us curate these wonderful conversations about our rights. So, and Laura also sent for me to share with you all that there are some resources on the Legal Aid Society of Cleveland's website, lasclev.org, to give you some information on a couple of topics related to finance and being a savvy consumer, really. So identity theft, that is a common occurrence that people experience and go through. So they have an online pamphlet that you can read through at lasclev.org/identity theft, and you should probably look at it on a computer. It might work on your phone, but talking to you about the common types of identity theft: medical, tax, child identity theft. Oh, we know about that one. You need to get a bill, utility cut on. I'm not saying it was me, but it does happen. What can you do to detect identity theft and how you can protect yourself? So detect and protect. Legal Aid has got you covered with that handy information. Also, car repossession. And also these resources are bilingual. So if you speak Espanol, they are there for you. Legal Aid Society of Cleveland. When can a lender take your car? This is important. What happens after the repossession? What happens to personal property in the car? What can you do? Of course, call Legal Aid. Their intake line is right here when you click on Contact Us on the website. The intake line is 888, how did I just get past that? 888-817-3777, 888-817-3777. So, if you need help and if you're income qualified, Legal Aid will surely take your case or review it. I can't say they'll take it, because they can't always help everybody, but they do what they can. You guys know how many people Legal Aid serves? Legal Aid Society of Cleveland serves every year, quarter?
I believe that our intakes every year are somewhere around 20,000, and we can't obviously, we just don't have, unfortunately, the resources to jump into every single case with a full representation, but we try to offer at least some advice so that people aren't walking away empty-handed and they have a better sense of where to go going forward.
Absolutely. Yes. And let's also remember the brief advice clinics that happen periodically through the month, and you can find that list. And before we go, I'll talk about the latest one.
There's one on Saturday, actually.
Okay, where is it?
It's at the West Side Catholic Center on Lorraine.
All right. 9 to 10 to 2?
I think it's 9 to noon.
9 to noon, I think.
All right, at the West Side
Catholic Center
this Saturday from 9 to
noon.
9 to noon. All right, but check out LASCLEV .org, or you can call call them 888-817-3777 for those exact details. So Eric Zell and Kristen Naraki are here with us today from Legal Aid's Economic Justice Group. Let's talk about contracts, because we sign a lot of things electronically. You know, when we go to the doctor, we have to sign a little pad. We don't really know what we're doing. Consent, right? What advice can you give us about contracts? How much of it do we need to read? Because some of them are like 10 pages. What's the most important thing to pay attention to when we're signing up for a service or giving consent? Yeah.
I think the most important thing is just understanding what you're agreeing to, right? So there are hidden fees and hidden charges and things that the salesperson might not tell you. Mm-hmm. So you really want to make sure that you are at least reading through it to see what your obligations are going to be and what the obligations are going to be for the other side, mm-hmm. Just so that you understand that they could make some promises that, we're going to do X, Y, and Z for you. And if that's not in the contract and it's not in writing, what they have told you oftentimes won't come to fruition, and you're going to be left, holding the bag and not getting what you expected to get. And similarly, if they say, you only have to pay $20 a month or something like that, mm-hmm. It very well may be that in the contract you have other obligations that they did not tell you, and as long as, again, it's in writing, you are going to be held responsible for following through with that.
Mm-hmm. And I think maybe I'm going to assume where this hits people the hardest is when you have to give over bank account information. And so there's always a way for that entity to access your funds. What happens, if we get into a situation where we signed something, we didn't really understand what we were doing, and now we've taken a loss financially? How does legal aid help in those situations?
So I'm not sure I understand the question.
Well, so oftentimes when people come to us, it's often after they have run into some sort of problem, oftentimes with a car or maybe a credit card or some mm-hmm. other debt that they owe. And
payday loan.
Payday loans, those were big for a while. Title loans were big for a while. We mm-hmm. don't see those as much anymore. But we are able at that point to review whatever it is that you signed, and we would certainly put in a plug to keep whatever it is that you signed. Make sure that you have it in your possession and not keeping it in your car, something like that can get repossessed or damaged, or if without that contract, it's very difficult for anyone to know what your obligations are.
Okay.
So we can review what it is that you signed, see if the person on the other side is treating you fairly and following their obligations, and giving you some advice about what it is that you are obligated to do under the contract. Mm-hmm. And if you are being treated unfairly, that's where we can really jump in and try to provide some legal assistance.
Mm-hmm. So what does it look like if someone is being treated unfairly?
So in a case where you had an obligation to pay a certain amount on your credit card, or in a car purchase situation where you have an obligation to pay a certain amount every month, there are situations where car dealers or credit card companies will come after a consumer for more than they're obligated to pay, or they'll charge additional interest beyond what's allowed under the contract. And in those situations, you have rights. You have protections that are afforded to you under various federal and state laws, and you potentially have claims to bring or defenses that you can assert on your behalf to avoid some of the claims that are being brought against you.
Okay, that's interesting, because we could all be going through this right now.
It's something that affects almost everybody.
Everybody gets scammed by contracts sometimes, because most of us, how many people do you think actually read? I know Eric Zell and Kristen Naraki, they read every single word of every contract they sign, but it's probably not a lot of people who go through an entire contract.
I don't think anyone does.
Yeah. Oh, what Eric Zell does?
I can be
signing up for that rental car insurance.
So I think it's impossible, right? You're sitting at a counter and they give you a 10-page document, as you said.
Yeah.
It's just impossible to read it all. I mean, I think what you want to do is scan through it to make sure you understand what you are obligated to do. But it's just impossible to read all the fine print. Yeah.
Another contract, a lease, like for housing or an apartment or something like that. There's all types of things that we, agreements really, that we enter into that we're not fully aware of everything that they entail. Should we be going back and, online, at least we get that option of printing it out and reading it. We should really go do that.
Yeah, I mean, I think at the very least you should have a copy of whatever it is that you signed at all times, just in case you ever need to go back to it.
All right, documents are important. Having things in writing, which all these contracts are. So it's easy to be taken advantage of, but you don't have to. If I guess take an hour on a Sunday and read through your cell phone agreement or your car finance agreement. That's a big one. A lot of people, I'm sure, out here are getting taken for what is that interest payment. All right, so we're talking about being a savvy consumer, protecting your rights in the realm of economics. From the Legal Aid Society of Cleveland, here with us is paralegal Kristen, straight to the point, Naraki, and Eric Zell of the famous Zell Cash Transfer Corporation family. Hit him up for some dollars. He won't give it to you, but you can test the waters. Read that contract. Everybody pull out their contracts. We're gonna take a break. Go through them. If you have any questions, you think there's any unfairness, give Legal Aid a call at 888-817-3777, 888-817-3777. And if you're having issues with anything that impacts your fundamental needs, housing, employment, stuff going on at your kids' school, accessing your benefits, help with utilities, help with the landlord issue, a housing thing, they do it all. If you're income qualified, Legal Aid Society of Cleveland, find them online at lasclev.org. We'll be right back after these messages. 95.9 FM, WOVU, our voices united.
Stand up for what you know is right. Stand up, my people.
The best thing Tri-C did for me was give me opportunities. The workforce program prepared me for the career I have now. I got a job in the aerospace industry where I work on CNC machines. I have 3 younger brothers. I want to teach my brothers, hard work actually pays off. Come to Tri-C. It's a great stepping stone to wherever you're trying to get to in life. My name is Chris Grooms, and I got my start at Tri-C.
Start now at tri-c.edu. This message was brought to you by WOVU 95.9 FM at Burton Bear Car Community Radio Station.
Are you ready to groove to the soulful sounds that shaped a generation? Well, get ready because Black Music Month is here, and we're about to take you on a journey through the incredible legacy of one of the pioneers of African American music. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give it up for the one and only W.C. Handy. Known as the father of the blues, W.C. Handy revolutionized the music scene with his incredible talent and undeniable passion. From his soul-stirring compositions like St. Louis Blues, to his mastery of the trumpet, his influence resonates to this day. This Black Music Month, join us in celebrating the immeasurable impact of W.C. Handy. Through his innovative style and deep-rooted connection to the African-American experience, he paved the way for countless musicians who followed him in his footsteps. Ranked among the most influential artists in all of music history, Handy didn't invent the blues, but it was his early songs that first used the word blues that would become the genre's first published songs to reach a national audience. Let's keep the spirit of W.C. Handy alive, celebrating the power, the beauty, and the soul of Black music. Happy Black Music Month, brought to you by WOVU 95.9 FM, Our Voices United, a Burton Bell Carr community radio station.
It's time to make the short story longer. Yeah.
Welcome. There we go. Welcome back to the program. This is Our Voices Today on 95.9 FM. I'm TC Lewis. Today's edition of Life and the Law, a conversation about your rights from our friends at the Legal Aid Society of Cleveland, here with us by way of an email from Laura. I'm playing around too much. Laura Klingler. Oh, what a gem. What a gem, getting out all the communications. Eric Zell is here with Kristen Naraki. They are two shining members of Legal Aid's Economic Justice Grupo in Espanol. Are you, the two of you, bilingual? You speak other languages?
No.
No.
Definitely not. There are people certainly at Legal Aid who do, but we cannot claim to be those people.
Yeah, not your
Not
thing.
me, no.
Yeah.
I wish.
Right.
So, where are you guys from? Are you Clevelanders?
Yep.
Lake County.
Lake County, yeah, okay. Painesville.
Menor.
Okay, yeah, okay. Cleveland,
yeah.
y'all.
I live, yeah, in Cuyahoga County.
Cuyahoga County. All right. What's your address? Just kidding. All right. So yeah, don't let me scam you. Continue to be that savvy conversationalist. Eric Zell. All right. So we talked about contracts. We talked about how to avoid scams. Really just pay attention. And ask questions. Let's talk about that. What are the questions that we need to be asking that we are not asking as consumers when it comes to financial matters?
So when purchasing a vehicle,
Okay.
ask what the finance charge is. Ask what your, more than what your payments are going to be. A lot of times you see a vehicle for sale, let's say $15,000 for the vehicle, and you think, okay, this is worth $15,000. That's fine. What are my payments? Okay, my payments are going to be $400. I can afford that. A lot of times the salesperson doesn't go through the actual numbers with you to find out that the APR is 23%, that the finance charge is $10,000. In the end, you're paying $32,000 for this vehicle as opposed to $15,000.
Right.
So know what you're actually paying.
Okay.
I think is important.
Yeah, I don't think we could count on both of our hands how many times we've had a client come to us and say, "Oh, I bought a car for $7,000." Then when we run them through the contract, they actually paid $28,000 for the car, and they had all sorts of add-ons and dealer fees and things that they had no idea were baked into that contract.
And so that person, they came to you because they felt something was wrong, or they just came and said, "Hey, can you check this out for me?"
It's often when they have fallen behind on their payments, or the car has been repossessed, or is being threatened to be repossessed.
All right, so they're getting in touch for that, and then you go through the contract and find out why they thought they could afford it, and now they find out they can't. So what is the remedy for a situation like that, for example? Yeah.
Unfortunately, it often requires the involvement of a lawyer. So you have claims under state law for violations of the consumer protection statutes. So in those situations, you can what's called rescind your contract. So back out of your contract. You can have claims against the dealership for essentially misleading you or lying to you. But it's difficult to do those things without an attorney, unfortunately, and dealerships have all the power in the sense that they do this every day, and people and consumers might only go buy a car or lease a car a couple times in their life. So they just don't have the ability to have that knowledge to be able to really be on the same playing field as the dealerships and the agents that work for them.
Okay. So we can, one of the ways to solve the issue is to get the contract rescinded, which you do need an attorney's help with doing. And that means it's canceling the contract?
Essentially, yeah. You're basically unwinding the contract so that as if the contract never existed in the first place.
Does the person keep the car or they give it back?
No, you have to give it back.
Yeah, okay.
You can't have your cake and eat it too.
Okay. All right. So that's good to know. Good to know. Yeah. Any other like relatable examples you can give us? Maybe like for identity theft. That's very common these days. People having a hard time keeping their information secure. Yeah.
I mean, I would say, pull your credit report, look at your credit card statements. Are there, charges that you didn't make? Contact the bank or the credit card company and report it if it's not your charge. Don't wait and think, I'll take care of this later. But go through your statements. I am certainly at fault. I never go through the statement, right? You have automatic payments, or you pay online, or but you should definitely, I think, make sure that all that you're being charged for is actually charges you made.
Okay.
And there are government resources out there, so you can go to the Federal Trade Commission, the FTC. You can go to the Ohio Attorney General's website, or make a phone call to them and report identity theft or fraud. Cuyahoga County has a great Office of Consumer Affairs. So if you're seeing fraudulent charges, you're seeing things you don't recognize, as Kristen said, you don't want to just ignore those things. You want to jump right on top of those and basically stop it before it gets even worse. Because once some scammer, once some identity thief gets their hooks into you, they're going to make things a lot worse before it gets better.
Yeah. You mentioned that you do a lot of work in bankruptcy, Eric Zell. What are some common, first of all, what is bankruptcy? And what are some common misconceptions the general public has about that process?
Yeah, so there are essentially two different types of individual bankruptcies. There's a Chapter 7 and a Chapter 13. Chapter 7 is a liquidation of your debt, so getting rid of all of your debts. Chapter 13 is, like I said, reorganization, so it's you're still paying your debts, but you're doing it on a sort of a monthly plan that you pay. I'd say many people are good, decent, hardworking people who want to pay their debts, and I think that they feel that there's some sense of shame in filing a bankruptcy. I would encourage people to not take that viewpoint. That the law exists, the bankruptcy law exists for a reason. It allows people to get that fresh start and be able to clear the decks and start over essentially in their financial life. So if you file a Chapter 7, almost all of your debts will get sort of wiped out through that process. There's a handful of things that don't automatically get wiped out, but it's just a way, again, to get that fresh start the slate at zero, and hopefully develop some better financial practices going forward.
When should I consider going that route, the bankruptcy route?
Yeah, so that's a very good question. There would be different approaches to that, although legal aid doesn't typically suggest filing a bankruptcy when it's just sort of what we call a peace of mind bankruptcy. So if you just have debts, but you're not collectible, so let's say you're on Social Security and a creditor can't take money from your Social Security check, or you don't own a home. So there's really nothing a creditor could do to actually take money from you. In those situations, it's not often the best thing to do to file a bankruptcy because it's just for your peace of mind. It's not actually protecting any assets that you have. But the best case to file a bankruptcy is when a creditor is threatening a garnishment against you. When you have, let's say, a driver's license suspension and you can't get your driver's license back without paying some sort of debt. Your utilities are shut off and you can't pay enough to get the utility company to turn your utilities back on. In those situations, you have real impact on your day-to-day life. In those cases, a bankruptcy is perfect for clearing the decks and getting rid of the debt that allows you to move forward and keep the assets in your pocket.
Okay. A lot of people heard that. Utility shutoffs. A lot of us go through that. And, that's a major issue when you're, changing locations, and if you can't get your services, you can't really live. So, or live, decently. So, that's good. I know that rang a bell in a lot of people's minds, but I wouldn't think that, I could solve that problem through bankruptcy. Yeah. So that was good information.
The one thing I would want to point out, though, is that you can only file a Chapter 7 bankruptcy once every 8 years. Okay. So what we always say is you want to make sure you're getting enough bang for your buck right now. So if what you're doing is filing a peace of mind bankruptcy, or you are filing a bankruptcy, but it's not really impacting you, your creditors aren't impacting you on a day-to-day basis, you might want to wait until you really are getting enough sort of bang for your buck, so that you don't file now and then have another problem in 2 years that you can't file again for another 6 years after that. So it's just important to consider the right timing for your filing of your bankruptcy.
Okay. All right. So we can call legal aid if we have more questions about bankruptcy. Are you in a position where it would be beneficial to you? But it's not like a get out of jail free card. Is it?
No, there are consequences, right? Yeah. So your credit does take a hit for some period of time, although people who are needing to file bankruptcy often don't have the best credit situation. So this is a way, again, to get that fresh start and build you back up. You can also have difficulty getting access to good credit terms for some period of time, because that bankruptcy does stay on your credit report for, I think it's 10 years. So creditors will know that you did file bankruptcy. But again, if it's something that you're having money taken out of your paycheck every week or every 2 weeks, or you have a lien on your house that you can't sell your house, the juice is worth the squeeze in that situation, and it's worth it to file your bankruptcy to clear those decks, and you take a little bit of the pain that goes along with it.
Yeah. Kristen?
I don't do much bankruptcy work at Legal Aid. I think Eric covered everything.
Yeah, the juice is worth the squeeze. I like that. So let's take a break, because I have a lot of thoughts and I gotta get them organized here as we wrap up our conversation, this edition of Life and the Law, conversations about your rights from our friends from the Legal Aid Society of Cleveland. Kristen Nawaki and Eric Zell are here with us today, our honored guest voices from that wonderful organization. How long has it been around? I don't know, 3,000 years?
118 years.
118 years serving the people, helping them get the legal aid that you need at different times in your life, or all sorts of things. You can call Legal Aid if you feel like you have an issue, or maybe you just have a question. The intake line, 888-817-3777, 888-817-3777. If you have any questions, get them in on the talkback line, 216-200-7848. 216-200-7848. This is Our Voices Today on 95.9 FM. Hold on. We'll be right back.
Why don't you open your eyes? Stand up for what you...
Who birthday? Who birthday? It's your birthday. It's your birthday. It's your birthday. It's your birthday.
What's up? It's DJ Lily Jade from The Lily Jade Show. And I just want to wish 95.9 FM WOVU a happy 5th anniversary. Keep up the good work.
It's your birthday. It's your birthday. It's your birthday. It's your birthday.
For every just one more mile to your next ace on the court, when you have a sports-related injury, Cleveland Clinic is here for them all. For our Cavaliers, our Guardians, and athletes at all levels, our team helps keep you in the game. As the best orthopedic care in Ohio, we offer expert diagnosis, customized sports therapies, and game-changing surgeries. For every athlete, for every care in the world. Schedule your care today at clevelandclinic.org/access.
This message was brought to you by the Cleveland Clinic and WOVU 95.9 FM, or Burton Bell Carr community radio station.
What's going on, fam? This is Mel.
This is Ikenna
of the Phoebe Foundation, and we want you to pull up to the ATM, the All Things Money Show.
We welcome you to tune in every Thursday at 11 a.m. on WOVU 95.9 FM, where wealth meets wellness and access meets equity.
We'll be having real conversations about money and how it's connected to all things.
So again, tune in every Thursday at 11 a.m. to the ATM, the All Things Money Show, right here on WOVU 95.9 FM.
Our voices united. Burton Bell Carr Community Radio.
It's time to make the short story longer. Yeah.
Gotta turn the music down. We are back. This is Our Voices Today. This edition of Life and the Law, conversations about your rights with our friends from the Legal Aid Society of Cleveland, talking about just, doing good personal business, paying attention to what you're doing in the realm of financial matters from Legal Aid Society of Cleveland's Economic Justice Group. Attorney Eric Zell here with us, along with paralegal Kristen Naraki. They have answered all of our questions about, some of the most relatable things, when it comes to economics, consumer economics, scams, contracts, free offers, how do you know you can trust something from a business? How do you review a contract? Eric said more than twice. Make sure you keep your records, documentation, document everything, and keep the documentation that is sent to you. And then, take some time to read it. And if you have questions, call the organization, the business, the entity that sent it to you. And if they give you the runaround, call Legal Aid. They will find out if they can help you. And if you're income qualified, they will certainly do it for free. And if you're not, they can perhaps tell you elsewhere you can seek remedy. All right. So, anything else that, is important for us to know, maybe that we don't generally think about, but it's super, everybody should be doing this or thinking about this, but nobody really does.
I would like to say, keep your vehicle purchase documents out of your glove box. Okay. Keep them in your house, keep them in a safe place. A lot of times our clients don't have copies of their contracts or any of their documents from the purchase of the vehicle because they were left in the vehicle at the time of repossession.
Right.
So that is not a safe place for your purchase documentation. Okay. That's fine for your, insurance and your registration, right, but not your purchase. Anything related to the purchase of the vehicle should be kept in a safe place outside of the vehicle.
Okay. All right. So, were you not able to access that after your vehicle has been repossessed?
You should be able to get your personal belongings back.
Yeah.
But sometimes consumers struggle, getting their belongings back, or sometimes it's too late and there was no communication, or the documentation's been destroyed. So people could run into problems.
Right.
They shouldn't. You are supposed to be allowed to get your belongings back.
Okay. All right. That's a right. We should know that. If your vehicle is repossessed, you have the right to get your items back, because those are yours. You know, the car may be theirs, but that stuff is yours. All your gum and candy and your purchase documents, your registration. You know, people have all types of stuff in their car, birth certificates, credit, whatever. All right. So Eric, anything you can think of that most people don't really think about, but we need to be doing this all the time?
Yeah, I would say get everything in writing. So if you go into your dealership, for example, or talking to your credit card company, and they say, "Oh, it's all right. I know your payment's due on the 15th, but just go ahead and make it by the 20th, and you're fine." That is worth the paper it's written on, which is that it's not written down at all. So you really can't rely on those oral statements like that. You need to get it in some sort of writing, whether it's signed or whether even if it's just an email. As long as it's in writing, you're protected. You're more protected. But if it's just a statement that someone said to you over the phone that, "Oh, don't worry about making your payment on the day it's due. You just make it to us a couple days later," that is not. You are not protected. And we have clients who come to us all the time who say, "Well, they told me it was okay to make a late payment." Well, it's tough to prove that after the fact without something in writing. So get everything in writing. If they're going to modify the terms of your contract, it needs to be in writing.
What if is it okay to record your calls?
So we are a one-party state. Ohio, you can record as long as one party is consenting to it. And if you're the party consenting to it, that's fine. But you do need to be careful if you are talking to people on the phone, if people are in other states. Other states have different laws, and some states are two-party consent states where you have to let them know you're recording. So you do need to be a little bit careful with that, but as long as you're talking to people in Ohio, it's a one-party state.
That's good to know. Okay, so yes, that's good to know. Thank you, Eric Zell, and thank you, Kristen Naraki, both of you a part of the Legal Aid Society of Cleveland's Economic Justice Group, laying down the law in the realm of economics in civil matters. So thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Absolutely. It's been a blast. I wish I had one of those money guns, from the music videos to, just liven up the party a bit. Economic justice, when you can push your dollars through a toy gun. You're doing okay. I don't know. I'm rambling here, but I'm just going to wrap it up with that. So hold on to your money. And up next, you make sure you want to stay tuned and pull up to the ATM, the All Things Money Show. How appropriate. Coming up next on 95.9 FM. But for all, if you have any questions or if you need some help regarding anything we talked about, plus anything else that you're having trouble with in life, there may be some legalities that you're not aware of that can help you, some resources, etc. Get in touch with Legal Aid Society of Cleveland. Call the intake line 888-817-3777, 888-817-3777, and that will do it for us today. Another huge shout out to Laura Klingler. She is just so wonderful. All right. So thank you, Eric and Kristen. Thank you to our listening audience and your wonderful selves. Make sure you visit Legal Aid's website, lasclev.org, and that'll do it for us. So have a nice day. Have a great time. This is 95.9 FM WOVU. Our Voices United. Bye-bye.
Excuse me, but I get so mad. Where could we have been? What could we have had? Yeah, it's time to lose those shackles and break those chains. Now who is gonna stop you from being a man? Stand for something. Why don't you open your eyes? Stand up for what you know is right. Stand up, my people.
back at it. Summer in University Circle is back with WOW! Wade Over Wednesdays, brought to you by University Circle Incorporated and proudly sponsored by PNC. Each Wade Over Wednesday concert features live music, cultural celebrations, food, beer, and wine garden, and family-friendly activities on the Wade Over lawn. Bring a chair or blanket, friends, family. Stop by Wednesday evening through August 16th from 5:30 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. This summer's lineup features new artists and the crowd favorites playing rock, reggae, jazz, country, cover tunes, and more. Plan your trip to Wade Over Wednesday right now. For more information, go to the website universitycircle.org. That's universitycircle.org. Search Wade Over Wednesdays and we'll see you in the circle.
This message was brought to you by University Circle and WOVU 95.9 FM at Burton Bell Carr Community Radio.
Join us Saturday, June 17th for a Father's Day and Juneteenth discussion. Break Every Chain, Men's Mental Health, Dismantling the Legacy of Trauma and Stereotypes of Mental Health Disorders. Hosted by WOVU's very own GM, Jay the Gospel Kid Williams, with special speakers, Dr. James Quincy of Lee Road Baptist Church, Walter Patton of Ghetto Therapy, Dr. Tony Miner of the Metro Health Hospital, and Jeffrey Allen of the Centers. The Break Every Chain discussion will be held at Shiloh Baptist Church, 5500 Scoville Avenue. For more information, please call 216-881-7337. That's 216-881-7337. Dismantling the Legacy of Trauma and Stereotypes of Mental Health Disorders. Again, that'll be Saturday, June 17th from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. at Shiloh Baptist Church, 5500 Scoville Avenue. For more information, please call 216-881-7337. That's 216-881-7337. This message is brought to you by Shiloh Baptist Church and WOVU 95.9 FM. Our voices united, Burton Bell Carr Community Radio.